Fluency, easily one of the biggest obstacles to a high band score in the IELTS speaking test. In this video, I'm going to share my expert tips to improve your fluency so that you can get top marks. Hello everyone, my name is Grace and welcome to this IELTS video from Swoosh English. Thank you for joining me. Now if you're watching, then it's very possible that you struggle with speaking fluently. Well, don't worry because I am here to help. First, I'm going to talk exactly about what fluency is and then what this means for the IELTS speaking test, and then I will of course give you my top tips to improve your fluency. So fluency is the ability to express yourself smoothly and naturally without significant pauses or hesitations. What does this mean for IELTS speaking? Well, firstly, the ability to maintain smooth, consistent speech without pausing, stopping, or hesitating more than is natural. Next, it's the ability to express yourself coherently so that the listener can understand. And finally, it's about maintaining a natural pace. Some people make the mistake of thinking that speaking fluently is just speaking very fast. This is not the case, so it's about maintaining a natural rhythm and pace so that your listener can follow and understand you. So now you know what fluency is, the more important thing, of course, is to know how to achieve that. And of course, it's not easy, but I am here to help. So let's take a look at some strategies that you can start using today to improve your speaking confidence, become more fluent, and ultimately get a higher band score in your IELTS speaking test. The first tip I have for you is to record yourself, which can be done at any time, anywhere, as long as you have a device to record on. The best thing about this technique is that you do not need a speaking partner, which is often the obstacle to speaking practice. So if you find yourself without a person to talk to, don't worry because you can simply record yourself. All you have to do is use your phone or any other device that has a recording function, and you can talk about any topic. The beauty of this is that you can even find sample IELTS Part 2 and Part 3 questions and just practice talking into your phone. Now, of course, we are just practicing for fluency, so I don't want you to worry too much about making mistakes. However, of course, it's always useful to listen back afterwards to review your performance. Next up, try grouping your thoughts when you're speaking. So this means organizing ideas into smaller chunks to help you remember them and get them out more fluently and effectively. So you can group words that convey a single idea, and this allows you to pause appropriately. Remember, it is fine in natural speech to pause sometimes, and if you're grouping your thoughts, this can be done appropriately. And finally, try linking ideas together. So you're grouping words and ideas into a single chunk. You're pausing in between and then linking your ideas together. So if you practice this technique, this can really help you to speak more fluently because your ideas are more organized in your head. Now, of course, with activities like thought grouping, this isn't going to come naturally. This will take some practice. And my recommendation is that you practice with speaking part 2 questions. So if you already know about speaking part 2, you'll be aware that you're given a task with some bullet points of things to cover. This is a perfect time where you can group your thoughts. Each bullet point can be grouped into a single idea, and then you can practice grouping that idea in your speech and then linking each idea together. So for thought grouping, speaking part 2 is a wonderful opportunity for you to put that into practice. My next tip to help you speak fluently is to use connectors. You can use these for a variety of purposes. Firstly, to express the relationship between ideas, to signal transitions, so when you're transitioning onto a new topic or talking about something slightly different, to add emphasis to a point that you've just made or that you're just about to make, or to show your thought progression. So when you are reviewing vocabulary, words and phrases that you want to use in your speaking test, make sure that you're reviewing connecting words and phrases as well, as this will help to contribute to your fluency. Next up, we do need to expand our vocabulary. If you have a good range of vocabulary that you can use flexibly and appropriately, this will ultimately contribute to your fluency. So first, you're going to expose yourself to a wide range of vocabulary by reading widely and actively. Next, making sure that any new vocabulary that you come across you are using in context to make it more memorable. Checking the pronunciation of new words is very important to making sure that this doesn't trip you up or cause you to hesitate when you're speaking. And of course, reviewing all vocabulary regularly so that you don't forget it. Now, if you're looking for more tips and advice on how to build your vocabulary for the IELTS exam, check out our other video, as this will give plenty of tips and advice to improve your vocabulary, not just for speaking, but also for reading, listening, and writing as well. So do head on over to our page and check out our video on how to improve vocabulary. Now, my final and perhaps most important tip of all is to practice regularly. So remember that with speaking fluency, consistency is key. Even if you're just practicing speaking in English for a little bit every single day, you will notice a huge improvement over a short space of time. If possible, try to find a speaking partner, ideally someone else who's practicing for the IELTS exam, so that you can review and practice together. Remember that when you are practicing speaking in another language, you are helping to develop your muscle memory, which will contribute to things like your pronunciation of words and ultimately help your fluency. Remember, it all comes back to consistency. And finally, if you can, set some speaking goals. Now, what exactly do I mean by this? Well, basically, you might start off quite simply, speaking for 1 minute on a familiar topic with as few hesitations as possible. You might then build this up in the duration that you speak for and maybe even the complexity of the topics that you're talking about. You'll notice that if you do this consistently, you should see fewer hesitations and also an increase in your confidence, overall contributing to your fluency. So I've given you my top tips and advice on how to improve your speaking fluency. I would like to end by highlighting a few common mistakes, things that you should definitely avoid, which will actually harm your fluency. First up, we have the overuse of filler words, things like Now, of course, we do naturally use those types of words when we are speaking, but you don't want to overuse them because that will harm your fluency score. Next up, we have speaking too quickly. As I mentioned before, speaking fluently is not speaking quickly. So you need to make sure that you pace yourself and you're speaking at a pace that is natural for you. Next one, probably the biggest obstacle to fluently speaking in the IELTS exam is overthinking or worrying too much about making mistakes. Now, of course, it's an exam, you want to be as accurate as possible, but if you are worrying too much about your use of English and the mistakes you might be making, this is really going to harm your fluency. So the key to this is confidence, and the key to confidence is practice. So practice, 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 make sure you're prepared, and try not to worry or overthink too much, as this really will harm your fluency. Next mistake that some people make, which you definitely want to avoid, is trying to memorize answers. If you memorize answers, not only are you taking a bit of a bet on the type of questions you might get in the exam, but you're also not going to sound fluent or natural. You'll sound a bit more robotic. So that's something you really want to avoid in the IELTS exam. And the final mistake that people make is not focusing enough on building vocabulary. So as I mentioned before, if you've got a really good range of vocabulary that you can use flexibly when you're speaking, this is going to help your fluency. So please make sure you don't neglect vocabulary study in your IELTS preparation. So thanks everyone for joining me. I would love to hear from you, so please do comment below with your favourite fluency tips or any questions that you have about studying for the IELTS exam. We will get back to you and answer them as soon as possible. In the meantime, if you're looking for more expert help and support with your speaking in preparation for the IELTS exam, then head on over to our website, www.swooshenglish.com, and browse our IELTS exam preparation courses. They include things like speaking mock exam classes, speaking video courses, and much, much more to get you prepared for and passing your IELTS exam. So do head on over and check those out. Thanks for joining me, everybody, and I will see you very soon.